A warm welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Emily Grace, a feminine leadership coach and author, and I'm so excited to welcome you to my new series of connecting with the goddesses. I'll show you simple ways to connect the energy of powerful feminine archetypes. In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect with goddess Persephone, which I think is the perfect time right now. Where I am, it is blooming into spring, and Persephone is the goddess of spring, and I will explain a little bit why shortly. Persephone is the goddess of spring because she represents the cycle of death and rebirth in Greek mythology. I really feel her in so many ways right now, showing up in the collective and in my own life with her hallmark themes of death and rebirth. She is known as the mystic, the black sheep, and she is the queen of the underworld. If you haven't watched my goddess overview video, I will link that here. It will teach you all about goddess archetypes, what their strengths are, how you can use them at different inflection points in your life, and how embodying them helps you to navigate change more smoothly and to know yourself more deeply. If you haven't watched my goddess Persephone video, I will also link that here. That video is getting so many comments from you, which is what really inspired me to create this video and start this series. A lot of you are resonating with Persephone, which makes me so happy. She is one of the goddesses I most resonate with as well. And to hear how this is really creating a shift for you and understanding when she's coming alive, because she shows up when things are heavy and challenging, and it's really such a helpful tool to remember that she can help you navigate any of these challenges with more ease if you know that this is part of her journey. And so her story is really beautiful, and that this reminder that we always get to start new, rise and bloom again, even after challenging periods. And she teaches us to honor our shadow and our light and integrate them. So Persephone is the goddess of spring because she represents the cycle of death and rebirth in Greek mythology. So she was dragged down to the underworld by Hades against her own will as a young girl, torn away from her mother, who is the goddess Demeter, and you can learn about her in my video as well. And they strike up a deal where she only has to spend part of the year in the underworld, and she does that in winter. So she comes back up into the regular physical realm in the springtime. And so it's really cool to see that lots of gardeners call upon goddess Persephone as she represents new life, blooming, flowers, rebirth after a period of darkness and stillness. In this new series, I thought it would be a really fun and also practical way of showing you how to connect with the goddesses in your everyday life and honor them. And it's so cool once you start noticing them showing up, how you can do these little practices and it will help you tap into their powers and their love and step into their archetype in your own life. So I'm really excited to take you along and show you some of the practices you can do to connect with goddess Persephone. From planting seeds and building an altar to visiting a graveyard, a grave site, writing poetry. These simple, meaningful moments can help you honor your own cycles of growth and renewal. So join me and let's step into the magic of Persephone together. Planting is a prayer, a trust in unseen things. And like Persephone rising from the underworld, these new seeds will push through the soil when it's time. And I am really excited about getting started with gardening in this way and honoring Persephone. So I got just a few things from my local Aldi grocery store, and I got some seedling starter, the little trays, and I really want to just express what I'm learning is that it's really easy to get started and get things and start with where you are. And I think that's an important lesson. I always thought gardening would be so complicated, a new skill to learn, and granted it is, but it's more of a fun creative process. And I was actually able to get a lot of my seeds at the local library and some of them at the Home Depot store. And I also got some grow lights from Aldi. But all in all, it's really easy to start with where you are. I also feel very lucky that I got some of the pots and things from Lowe's. You can always go to your local big box store and ask for some of their pots if you rent like I do. So I'm just really excited about having my own herbs to have tea with. My own vegetables are organic, and flowers that I can decorate my home with, and just feeling connected to the earth in this way. And the process of a slow, tender beginning is very powerful. What gardening is teaching me is to be resourceful with what I have and to do it in a way that doesn't cost a lot of money. And it's just inspiring me in other areas of my life to just begin with what I have. And I think so many times we tell ourselves, we need all these things, or it's just so hard to do. And I'm learning through a lot of creators online and my own research and DIY approach that anyone can get started. And it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, starting simply is the best way to not get overwhelmed. You can see here I have the seeds, and I added this grow light over here. And that was another belief I had, is I don't have enough light in my space. Well, they have these pretty affordable grow lights that you can add. So I'm so excited for this new life to bloom, and just to be so connected to the earth this way. And I have to say that it is so exciting and moving, honestly, when I check every day and just see the growth that is happening in a pretty short amount of time. This process does require patience, but just a few days later, look at what has started to come through. The beans are growing so quickly, and you can see here there's some of the chamomile peeking through, the lettuce, the microgreens, and it's growing faster than I expected. Seedlings take, I believe, up to 50 days to grow, and so starting them inside right now, I'm looking forward to moving them outside, and I'll share my journey with you on You Here. I thought it would be nice to call the birds to where I am, and do that by putting out some of this suet. I have never used this type of bird feeder, but I figured out that that's what kind of birdseed goes in there, and it's pretty much a cake of bird food. So I'm gonna add these so that the birds will come by. I do think it's more of a winter kind of meal for them to bulk up with and have that way, but I saw it's okay to give to them before the summer, and to definitely take it down in the summer because it gets hot and melted. So I'm just so excited to have some of the birds come by and just sit out on my balcony and feel more connected to the nature around me and give them a little treat. So after putting up my suet for the birds, I did some reading out on the balcony and did some reading of this book called Inner Bonding with Your Inner Child, which is very much connected to Persephone and the journey of, reparenting and owning that pain of being a victim when she was a child. To honor Persephone, I decided to write some poetry. When I write poetry, I connect with these deeper parts of myself, the same parts that Persephone walks with in the underworld. So when I was writing, I also realized I want to share with you some affirmations you can use if you're navigating struggles that are similar to Persephone and you want to embody her energy more to protect you. You can use these affirmations. And the opposite of starting seedlings and a new life, I visited a graveyard, and it really is such a powerful way to connect with Persephone, this other side, the underworld, and this acceptance that we all will die one day. And it can be really humbling to go and surround yourself with those that have passed. And for me, it put my life in perspective and made me feel grateful that I am where I am and that I have my life, and to make each moment count. And I think that's a really special lesson from Persephone of starting over. Like sometimes things do need to die in order to be reborn, and I'm really looking at those areas of my life that need a rebirth and just accepting that it's part of the process and to not resist it. The lesson with Persephone is do not resist when you are faced with unimaginable tragedy. Be pulled to the underworld. Let that force take you, for it is part of the process. You have to be really dragged down to be reborn and planted. So visiting a graveyard can really connect you with that energy of Persephone and her descent and how this applies to your own life. And finally, I invite you to create an altar. I poured some hibiscus tea, which Persephone loves, and started pulling together my supplies. So an altar is a great way to connect with any of the goddess archetypes as you evoke them with these symbols. Pomegranate is a symbol of Persephone, and I chose these crystals to represent her journey. I chose these crystals as they signify the challenges on her journey and how you can be supported. Amethyst for spiritual clarity and insight, and tiger's eye here for the courage to navigate the unknown and the difficult. So thank you so much for joining me and connecting with Persephone today and welcoming spring. I hope these simple rituals inspire you to both honor your light and your shadow, to trust the seasons of your life, to bloom when you are ready. If one of these practices resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you're curious which goddess archetype is guiding you right now, you can take my free quiz. The link is in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow as we connect with more of the goddesses next. Till next time, may you trust the cycles, nurture your dreams, and rise with grace.